Hey crew, I've got the key to this 2026 Cadillac Escalade V. And I'll be quite honest with you, today was supposed to go very differently. I was supposed to be reviewing a 1991 Acura NSX, but there was a bit of an issue with delivery. So now I've got Mobile Mama's loan of this Escalade V, and I'm not upset. I really want to drive the NSX, but I'm not upset with this vehicle right here. It's one of, if not my absolute favorite, of the current crop of full-size SUVs. So let's talk about the exterior styling. There is a massive gloss black mesh grille for the V with that huge caddy crest right there in the center. Down low, you get more meshing for the front air dam. There is an extended gloss black front splitter on the V, some ventilation here, and then we've got these vertical projector LED headlights with LED DRLs and turn signals, more thin LED DRLs up top. This one is painted in Radiant Red Tintcoat. It's a $1,200 option, and I do love this color. I think the V needs to stand out a little more. Already this SUV stands out a lot, but the red really pops. And if you don't want this color, I think for 26, the only change for the V is the addition of the Magnus metal frost paint job. At the side, you get 24-inch wheels as standard. These have a graphite finish to them, and within you can see the giant steel brakes with a red painted finish on the caliper. Tires, they're Bridgestone All Seasons, 285 section front and rear. Moving along the side, you've got gloss black treatment for the window trim, the roof rails, and down here, this lower accent piece. Big V badge on the front driver and passenger door. Stepping back to look at the profile, it's just that classic big boxy SUV, but with all the ground effects of the V model, it looks a little more sport truck. Coming around to the back, there's more gloss black treatment in certain places, big Cadillac crest there, Escalade badge, vertical taillights to match the vertical headlights, again with LED turn signals, and down low is this chunky gloss black diffuser with quad blacked out exhaust ports. It's not a subtle vehicle by any stretch of the imagination, but my question for you is whether it's just too much or if it's perfectly brash. Let me know in the comments and let's check out the interior. When first opening the doors, you don't pull on the handle, you just press on the pad and that's going to deploy a running board. Then opening the door itself requires minimal effort because there's e-power assistance for that mechanism. So you can actually go further with auto opening doors. You just slide your finger on the screen to open or close. But I actually prefer this because I like that manual control and it requires about the same amount of effort. And further, it's free. It's included as standard. On the door, you've got leather trim up top with contrast stitching, carbon fiber there, some nice brushed metal accent, padding for your armrest with leather, contrast stitching, nice metal door handle there, and hard plastics down low. You see that AKG speaker cover there. Getting in with the air suspension having lowered to the access height, it's easy for anyone of any age to get inside this truck. They can use that running board and this leather wrapped grab handle. And now behind my seat at 6 feet tall, I've got plenty of knee room here. The back of the seat is wrapped in leather, good sized foot pockets, and I have headroom above underneath this suede wrapped headliner and the panoramic sunroof that is included as standard as well. Closing up that door, again, just a little help. And then you've got that soft close function. With the optional executive seating package, there's this fixed center console with carbon fiber trim, 2 cup holders, 2 USB-C ports, and 2 wireless charging pads. The seats also have power adjustments in 6 different ways. You control that on the side, and they're heated, ventilated, and massaging. That you adjust here in that secondary screen. There's also a third zone of climate that you can set, and you can change up your ambient lighting. As I hop back out, I wanted to show there is storage underneath that console with an AC outlet and 2 HDMI ports. You could hook up a video game console and play that on these 2 rear screens, which are pretty responsive, and they also have built-in apps like YouTube and Disney+. To get to that third row, I am gonna have to hold this power control here. Oh, that's the wrong direction. Which I would much prefer just a button you press once to have the seat move all the way out of the way, because if I let this go, it just stops. So I have to keep holding it and wait. It's finally done, and my access to the third row it's adequate. I wish it was a bit larger, so I have to kind of squeeze my body underneath the seatbelt strap and get on back. And then if I wanted the seat to move back to the former position, I'd have to hold this yet again. Okay, that's about where the seat was before. So sliding behind it, my knees do clear the seat back just barely, and there are foot pockets to slide my legs under, but not very far. So my knees are up at an angle. I do love the padding of this third row. It's nice and cushy, and the seats are in that same semi-aniline leather as the second and first rows. I have a cup holder on either side and a USB-C port on either side, and a little bit of padding here for my arm, not hard plastic. Also, my head clears the roofline. That's a big win for full-size adults in the back. And another win are the air vents up top, so adults don't suffocate back here. All right, time to get out. Oh, that's the wrong direction. Please don't crush me. I'll see you next week. Before I hop into the front seats, I did want to show you the utility. There we go. Behind the third row, we've got a decent bit of storage space, and underneath the floor is a thin additional layer of storage. Now, I gotta show you the power folding seats, because if you did not adjust the position of the second row seats, the Escalade V ain't gonna do it for you. So you can try to fold down the right side, and it's gonna get stuck. So you have to then go around, open the side door, and then move the second row seat forward to actually finish the folding of that side. If you did move it, then you can fold down the seat pretty darn quickly, and then there's lots of room. Although not as much room as if you don't get the executive seating package, because then you can fold down the second row of seats completely. Up front, you get that same sport bucket pattern as the second row of seats, also with heating, venting, and massaging. There's also leather on the bottom part of the dashboard. I like that bit of extra effort, Cadillac. And this insignia printed here on the side. 2 positions of memory for the front chairs as well. And closing that door is just as easy. In front of me, I've got a lot of screen, but it's separated into 3 distinct quadrants. You've got the driver gauge cluster, then you've got the infotainment, which is nicely responsive, and then you've got a passenger side screen. And importantly, while you're driving, once you go into drive, you cannot see what's going on that screen as the driver, so it's not distracting. So you can be distracted by the secondary screen. I'm mostly kidding. It's pretty intuitive, and certain things you'll just learn over time. So all of your core functions are here, and then if you go to park, you can look into your camera system. Here you can open your glove box, which a handle would have been fine, Cadillac, really. You don't have to bury that in menus. And then all your seat settings are there, and the climate is split across 2 different places. It would be great if there were also redundancies for certain things, but mostly, again, it's logical in the layout. Beyond that, you do have some physical controls like the dial to control the infotainment and certain hotkeys that have a haptic response, and there is, importantly, a volume knob that you can raise and lower. All of these feel decently high quality, although it's surrounded, not the carbon fiber over here, but this is gloss black, and it's in a place that is already collecting dust. You know it's going to smudge, and you know it's going to scratch. Behind that, we've got an open slot for things to get buried in, although it is rubberized, so if you wanted to put your sunglasses, you could put them there because there isn't dedicated storage for those above, or in this side cubby, which is felt lined. Then here we've got a wireless charging pad and another spot for your phone to sit behind the screen, along with 2 USB-C ports. Then we've got the console with leather padding up top, contrast stitching and piping. Inside is a cool box with 2 stages of cooling, or you can turn it off and it's still a good amount of space for your stuff. You also have 2 more USBs, 1A, 1C. Tons of amenities included, mostly as standard, which is good because it's $170,000 to start. There is also a digital rearview mirror, but it's not on until the vehicle is. And I think it's just about time for that, so let's fire it up. A triumphant startup from the Supercharged V8. Hey cabin crew, thanks for joining for this quick spin in the 26 Cadillac Escalade V. I'm gonna throw in my seatbelt here before we back on out, pulling the gear selector in and up into reverse. That prompts a high-res camera system, and you have a few other angles to choose from, including an overhead shot of the front and back and sides. Let's go to the back, and using our trajectory lines, guide out of this parking space. Before I click it in and down to drive, and let's just see about the turning radius of the Escalade V. I like that rhyme. Okay, so lined up here straight, I'm going to crank the wheel over. Oh my. That is a fantastic turning circle for such a big vehicle, wow. And you know we gotta hear that horn, so what's that sound like? Oh. It's kind of whiny. doesn't befit a big burly SUV like this, though I suppose you could always get your point across with. Speaking of, 6.2-liter supercharged V8, it makes 682 horsepower here and 653 pound-feet of torque. That's routed through a 10-speed automatic to all 4 tires. All-wheel drive is standard in the V. It's a lot of motor. Now granted, this vehicle does weigh 6,200 pounds, but this engine makes that weight just melt away. It does not matter. It gets up and moving, and it sounds so good doing it. You want to put your foot to the floor as much as you possibly can. And because you have that extra weight, it gets the power to the ground. And even if you're cruising around in the tour drive mode, as I am right now it's moving into sport. Sport perks up the throttle response, downshifts you a little bit. I like sport. There's also the V mode over here. We'll get into that in a second. But yeah, even if you're in tour, if you put your foot all the way to the floor, the truck will get up and move. There is also the My mode where you can calibrate your steering efforts and your suspension firmness, braking feel, engine sound, and the all-wheel drive system to your liking. And what's cool about My mode is you can actually go into the stealth exhaust noise, and the idle settles down more so even than the tour mode. So you can be a good neighbor. Isn't that great? I don't need to be a good neighbor right now because I'm not in my neighborhood. So I've missed this engine. I had it in my Cadillac CT5V Blackwing, and it sounds good in that car. It sounds amazing in the Escalade V. I don't know if it's the length of the exhaust or what, but gosh, it just echoes throughout the cabin and beyond. I've heard one of these accelerating full tilt from outside, and it's a wonderful thing. It's kind of funny that this is and isn't a sleeper at the same time, because no one expects a vehicle in this category to sound or move like it does, and yet it's so flashy, especially in the Radiant Red paint job and with the ground effects and the quad exhaust system, that you kind of know something's up. You just don't expect the degree to which something is really up. And yet, beyond the concerns about your neighborhood watch, you can just amble about town in this truck in comfort because the seats are very plush and have lots of adjustment, and importantly because there is GM's magnetic ride control as standard. And magnetic ride is a gift to the automotive community. The way it absorbs the road blemishes and offers incredible compliance even on 24-inch wheels is so very special. You can understand why Ferrari wanted to buy this technology from GM because it's so effective. And the Escalade V in the Tour Drive mode can be smooth on acceleration. That 10-speed isn't pronounced in the gear changes. You can just make out that supercharger whining in the background. GM really are elites at developing a platform. The way the Escalade V rides with this body-on-frame truck structure and its independent suspension, it's so smooth. You just don't expect it for something that looks as crude as this does. I mean, yes, glamorous, but also just blocky and crude. It doesn't ride like that. It really rides in an ultra luxurious way, even on chewed up surfaces like this. Now, there are some complications with naked eye visibility because the pillars are quite large. The A-pillar isn't that big of a deal because it's got nice large side glass and the windshield is big. There is, though, an issue with the B and the C and the D pillars. You can't, especially with the position of the second row headrest, you can't really make out what's over there, so you rely on the blind spot monitoring. I am glad there is the digital rearview mirror, so it doesn't matter whether the third row headrests are manually folded or not. But what doesn't make sense to me is GM's surround view camera system is so good, you saw it while we were parked, why not give the driver a blind spot camera? Like, I think even the Hummer EV has the blind spot camera. Why not bring that over to the Escalade? But I'm not going to focus on visibility anymore. I want to focus on visceral entertainment. So I'm going to hit the V button and enjoy. Oh! I forget about the upshift chaos. I've reviewed this SUV at least 2, maybe 3 times now, and every time I forget how violent that is. God, how enjoyable it is. Oh, that's so much fun. And you do get to hustling. I mean, it's not like earth-shattering acceleration. It's quick. For something this big, it really is. But it's the full effect, the experience of being in something this large, moving this way, sounding like that. You really don't get much supercharger whine. That was the complaint I had with the Blackwing, and it's still something I would bemoan here in the Escalade V. It's just all V8, but what a soundtrack. It really makes me want to manipulate it. So I'm gonna go into manual mode, click the selector down here, and use the paddles, which actually have a nice action to them. And quick shifts. Oh! Heavens! Oh! I like that. It does feel a bit floaty. Concerningly so, at high-speed curves, but I'm just gonna focus on the straight line. Ooh. Hot toddy. Yeah, I don't like the high-speed curves, but I really do like this. You do get some supercharger whine there on the downshifts. There it is. Oh, darn it. I like that. And I would do it entirely too often, which would really become an issue because this is a thirsty girl. Ain't care. I figure if you have $170,000+ to spend on a frivolous SUV, you can pay for the fuel bill. And you should. You owe it to yourself. That was all rather subjective, just my emotions, but it's time to be objective with a real-world 0 to 60 test. I've got my race box set up here to record. From the V mode, I'm going to brake torque it off the line, build up those revs, let it go. Oh! Yeah! And hit 60 in 5.03 seconds. And that is about a half second slower than I got the 25 model to 60. But I'm not complaining either way. I did mention that the handling at speed is a little sketch. But I think that's really just the high-speed curves, because actually, low-speed curves, the Escalade V isn't leaning nearly as much as I thought it would. So I think it's really just the steering and the lack of communication I'm getting from the platform as I'm turning the wheel. But it's far more important to know that this truck can handle itself in potential emergency maneuver situations than to have that real quality engagement through the steering. And it's also more important that as big and heavy as this is, the brakes really work well. We've meandered about town, we've had our fun in the canyons, but there's one other dimension to this truck that is worth exploring driving on the highway. And that's especially because GM's hands-free highway driving system, Super Cruise, is here as standard. So with the cruise control set, I'm going to not turn on the steering wheel heating. I'm going to enable Super Cruise. Here we go. Green light says we're good with Super Cruise going. I'm going to take my hands off the wheel and look at the road ahead through the windshield or through the screen on the gauge cluster in ultra high resolution. This is cool. Now, granted, for a long road trip, this is helpful, but really it's the heavy traffic where this system is so useful, cutting down on the fatigue of a commute. And the way it's set up, if traffic in front of me in my lane is moving slower than the speed I had set, and there's a lane open to my left, it will automatically change lanes and then come back over to the right to make my way through traffic as I would have done if I was in full control. But to kind of simulate that, I'm just going to indicate. It actually is not going to move over because it sees this, what is that, a Sonata to my left coming by quickly. So it's going to wait until they have passed. Now it's clear, so it moves over. Really smart. Now let's get into some brass tacks. Fuel economy for the Escalade V. It's 11 mpg in the city, 16 on the highway, and 13 combined. The price tag, I did mention this, it starts at $170,500. This one is tested with the rear seat executive package, and that red tint coat is $179 grand. It competes with vehicles like the Dodge Durango SRT Hellcat, which is sort of in the performance but non-luxury three-row SUV segment. That starts at about $82,000. It makes 710 horsepower, gets to 60 in 3.6 seconds, and has one more combined MPG than this. Moving into the luxury space, there's the AMG GLS 63 that starts at $151,000. It makes 603 horsepower, gets to 60 in 3.6 seconds, and has 16 combined MPG. And finally, the Alpina XB7, that's $150,000 to start. It makes 630 horsepower, gets to 60 in 3.9 seconds, and returns fuel economy of 17 combined. The Escalade V then. It's the biggest of the vehicles I mentioned, the most spacious. It can tow the most. It's got that hands-free highway driving that's very convenient. It makes the best noises. And so many of the features I'm experiencing are standard. On the flip side, though, it is certainly the most expensive to start. Though I will say that if you add on the packages and options to the AMG GLS or the Alpina XB7, then those price tags really get up into the same territory. It is also not the quickest, it is not the best handling, and it has the worst fuel economy. Despite those downsides, if I had the money, I would strongly consider the Escalade V because it's just so much fun to daily drive. And it's comfortable. It's so easy to drive. It isn't a chore. You're really not sacrificing. But which one would you guys choose? Let me know in the comments. I hope you guys have enjoyed this quick spin, and I'll see you again next time.